Being fascinated by gaming magazines at the time, Kowloon discovered Game Center Arashi, in which an article of basic programming popped up. Interested, Kowloon wanted to get a PC of his own. You must understand at this time, computers were pretty niche, and also fairly expensive, so the average person couldn't get one. But eventually, when Kowloon was around 11 years old, PCs less than a grand were popping up, which was now possible for him to get one if he just did some simple side jobs. Kowloon slowly taught himself the very basics of programming, but he had to pay back the money for the computer. Using his programming skills, he whipped up very simple and primitive games to make a quick buck at local markets. Games weren't anything special, basically visual novels, text, and crude images. 1988, he did make a name for himself for creating Torture Master. As you can tell from the title, it's just like one of those torture games, like in Newgrounds or Stick Page. His fascination in computer hardware grew, which led him to go to Southeast Asia, specifically Hong Kong Electronic District, finding anything that caught his attention. At his first trip at age 19, he went to Hong Kong and found one of these, a Magicom, piracy device in which it lets you play floppy disk on your SNES. Now, this time in Japan, piracy was a big issue. It was extremely looked down upon, and Nintendo kept their eyes peeled 24/7, so finding one in Japan was very unlikely. Dollar signs appeared in his eyes. He can sell the device back home, he can import it and sell it at a profit, and so he did, for a while. Until Nintendo caught wind and sent a cease and desist letter. But it wasn't over yet. Remember that Kurosawa has made a name for himself? Well, someone contacted him, claiming to be a programmer, specifically at Squaresoft, wanting to work on a game project with Kurosawa. The idea was simple. Kurosawa would come up with the story and graphics while the programmer would develop and code the game. This very game became Hong Kong 97. Hong Kong 97 was made purely just to be shocking and crude. The assets were made last minute, literally just whatever was lying around in Kurosawa's apartment. The stories about China winning back Hong Kong, written in profane language, speaking down upon the mainland Chinese, fearing that mainland China would spread communist influence on Hong Kong. One hero, Chin, a relative of Bruce Lee, and apparently a heroin addict. Anyways, he would be hired by the government of Hong Kong to go full-on genocide on the 1.2 billion communists. The game is a top-down shooter. You throw what I presume to be snowballs at the communist Chinese. When hit, they will explode. Every now and then, the biomechanical weapon, Tong Xiaoping, comes in. Shoot him enough times and he'll explode. Now the goal is to kill the 1.2 billion communists, which is just absolutely insane. But when you do hit that mark, absolutely nothing happens. The game just simply continues. But you won't be seeing that. Rather, you'll be seeing the game over screen, which is infamous for having a dead body. I'm not going to be talking about the dead body and its origin. It's completely tasteless. If you want, you can see this guy cashing in on the death of this person. But anyways, the music in this game is just a 6-second loop of Chinese propaganda turned to pop song. The game was sold in the gaming magazine that Kurosawa contributed the articles for, which we will definitely be talking about later. It sold extremely poorly. He made like 100 slip-on covers, but the game only sold like 20 copies, so he had to burn the remaining slip-on covers. Hong Kong 97 gained a small cult following among the niche gaming community, but most people don't know that Kowloon Kurosawa has made many more games with the same goal in mind, to offend people. And also he made some books and like articles. We're also going to look at that. Simple Series 2000 was a series of games made by indie devs under a small budget. This series of games was published by D3 Publisher. Now, there's been plenty of games under their belt, but the one that we're focusing on today is Mini Skirt Release, which is in fact directed and designed by the legendary Kowloon Kurosawa. And remember that mysterious programmer from Hong Kong 97? Well, he's back for one last game, the last hurrah. And goddamn, this game is pretty bad. Okay, seriously, Kurosawa wasn't super involved in this game. He joined like in the middle of production. Anyways, the story is about this absolutely stunning polygonal babe tasked to take down one of the biggest drug kingpins, which I swear to God, this little fucker, you have to chase him like multiple times and it's pretty annoying because the controls is really bad. Like straight up, it's pretty bad. I remember I was collecting footage of this game and I was like, damn, it's pretty bad. First of all, like Momo is extremely weak. After doing a string of combos, she gets her ass handed to her and gets stripped. Oh yeah, if you couldn't tell from the title, this game is one of those games, you know, polygonal death and shit, to get the boys all riled up. I'm personally not really into those type of games, but it does have a market. The camera's pretty bad as well. You're stuck on these narrow hallways and alleyways, and the camera ain't helping much. it goes through environments and it often feels like it's fighting against you. One thing I can say is the game UI and shit is quite stylish. Like, it actually takes effort and time and creative mind to work on this type of stuff. Honestly, you aren't really missing out much. This game isn't very good, but it ain't legendary like Hong Kong 97. So if I were you, I would just skip this one. In an interview with Ultra Healthy Video Game Nerd, by the way, check out his game, link in the description, Kurosawa talked about an unreleased game in which you are a North Korean agent trying to abduct Japanese people. It's an obvious reference to the abductions of Japanese citizens North Koreans did during 1977 to 83. North Korean kidnapped these people for purposes of training the language to the spies and using their identities for espionage work. Yeah, it's not really a good idea to make a game based off on this. It was gonna be released onto PC, but he then decided at the last minute when he was done with the game that it was a really bad idea to publish it. People mostly know Hong Kong 97, fewer know Mini Skirt Police, but even fewer know this title. I'm not even gonna bother pronouncing this, I'm gonna let like a text for speech to pronounce this shit. It's a PC strategy game in which you have to recruit a bunch of members into your cult. Now, what cult we're talking about? Well, the motherfucking... If you aren't educated, they were a Japanese cult group turned to a terrorist organization after doing 2 sarin gas attacks. One, the infamous sarin gas attack on the Tokyo subway, leaving 14 dead. This game was published a mere month after they attacked. Now, this game is supposed to be mocking the cult, but when your windscreen is the gas attack itself, it's pretty tasteless. Game Urada was an underground gaming magazine by gamers for gamers, but we should put quotes around gaming because although yes it does feature gaming content, there's other stuff on here, like real degenerate garbage, and what a surprise, Kowloon Kurosawa was a contributor. Now, it was made to compete with game Lavo, which failed horribly, like real bad, only lasting like a mere 5 issues, maybe 6, but we really don't know. Now, Game Urada is pretty bad, like the content, it's pretty not safe for work at times, well, all the time. Like when Kowloon Kurosawa wrote an article on some sex tapes he watched, like literal scat porn with screenshots of the porno uncensored, or when he bought audio recordings of gay sex because it was extremely edgy and really cool and totally not because he's gay or anything, it's definitely not because he's gay, or these face stretching videos and medical tapes from an insane asylum in which Kurosawa won't tell us where he got the film from. But the most fascinating is his ad for his own BBS Tokyo Isoternet. As you imagine from Kurosawa, it's filled with some of the most vile and tasteless, most fucked up shit like weird ass fetishes, gore, whereas groping girls on the subway and drug dealings. Game Urada, besides the nasty shit from Kurosawa, it's just filled with just shit like, it's just filled with like hentai PC games, how to make your own fleshlights, game cheats, and how to burgle houses. Not surprised it was short-lived. Now, Kowloon Kurosawa has written his own books, not tied to anything else, and they're just as fucked up as his contributions to Game Urada. They were about his journey outside of Japan, mainly Southeast Asia. Now there's very little information about these series of books since it's stuck in Japanese. Luckily, YouTuber Ultra Healthy Video Game Nerd has tracked down these books and sort of translated them. He basically reread the juicy parts of these fine series of novels, like how Kurosawa met a pedophile in which he said he will go to Cambodia to purge his pleasures onto children prostitutes. And guess what? His wife is fine with this shit. In fact, his wife would take pictures of young girls and give them to her husband. I am a gaijin, but trust me, if I could read Japanese, I would translate all these juicy details. Kurosawa's interests blend well with the internet, which makes sense why he has a presence in YouTube and Twitter, but it's all stuck in Japanese. And YouTube and Twitter auto-translation can be real spotty, but I'm pretty sure there's some real fucked up shit in there. Now, after watching this video, you might have some negative thoughts on Mr. Kowloon Kurosawa. His interests are very niche and dark and it's just quite outlandish and out there. His sense of humor is also dark. Everything about him is just very much the complete opposite of what's politically correct. But do I think he's a morally wrong, shitty person? I don't think so. Well, it's very just gray zone. Like I originally just thought that he was just an edgelord. He just wanted to offend people, and that's what he accomplished. But there's that one interview with Ultra Healthy Video Game Nerd where he just, he was very hesitant to go into some topics. So He's an illegal gray zone for me. Don't harass the guy or anything like that. Please leave him alone. He doesn't seem to be interested with talking to Americans that are using Google Translate to speak with him. Just let him do his own thing. And if I must absolutely have to separate the artist from the art, I do think his games and his writing are quite interesting. You don't, especially during the time in the 90s and 80s. You don't really see. It's much harder to find these fucked up type of shit. Like nowadays, you can go on Google and find terrible gore videos, but Kowloon really went to like Southeast Asia to find these weird things. You know, he find all this weird shit and put in his magazines and shit. And he was really ahead of his time in all reality. But yeah, peace.